Hi guys, Goofy here. So, Path of the Exile 2 Dawn of the Hunt came out, and there has been a lot of backlash, a lot of controversy, and a lot of issues with the game, especially at the start. Now, we're going to talk about today, like, why that is, what's going on, and what I think actually Path of Exile 2's biggest issue is at the moment, and it's not quite what you think. It's actually its inability to make compromise and find the happy middle ground. Now, before we get started, and I have a small list of things I'm going to go over here, um, I want to say a few things and hammer the points in first. The first thing is this is just talking about the campaign. This is not the end game. This is not the mapping system. We're not talking about balance at all. This is just the campaign. It took me about 25 to 28-ish hours to complete it. It was quite a struggle. I almost completely rage quit the game. A couple times actually. Once I literally shut it down for a few hours and went back to Path of Exile 1. And there's also, I do want to say, there's a lot of great stuff in Path of Exile 2. This is not a video meant to be like, oh my god, this is terrible, I hate this, GGG sucks, so on and so forth. This is the honest criticism of what I think the biggest issues are of the game at the moment, but there is a lot of awesome stuff in this game too. They definitely have something here, but I'm not going to talk about all the awesome, cool stuff in the game right now. A lot of it has been talked about already. This is just going to be its inability to make compromise, okay? So the first thing I want to talk about is movement speed. So you start off, and I actually made a character, but we'll remake one here. And I wanted to test this between Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2. And because Path of Exile 2, the movement speed feels... It's a great name. Movement speed feels worse, and I tested this, and it actually feels like the same at the start with 0 movement speed on a new character. The biggest issues come between Path of Exile 1. There's so many ways to change this early on. You have Quicksilver Flash, you have travel skills, you have Onslaught, you have momentum support. There's an infinite number of possibilities. Like, you get halfway through Act 1 and you have Flame Dash, and you dash like 3 times across the screen, and boom, a second, you're done. Now, this is it. This is your character for literally most of the campaign. There's a few skills on the tree. This is basically what you get, and this is what the whole game feels like. Now, this gets even worse. We'll talk about it at another point in the future with layouts and how long they are, and this is how fast your character moves for literally everything. There's no different. Now you get literally one choice. You have boots, and you get movement speed on them. There's a few skill points on the tree if you happen to be down in this area. You can get like 2% on your jewel. Besides that, you're literally it. Now, this is the happy middle ground that seems to be poof gone. Now, they want the game to be slower. That's fine. Honestly, like PoE 1, the way that things scale and the amount of things that go into that scaling, like movement speed, you have your movement speed, your skill speed, your flash, your mage blood, your headhunter, your rare, like what, and they see people through an entire map in like 12 seconds. Okay, they don't want that. That's fine. Slowing the game down is fine. Having it more amenable is fine. But the biggest issue with everything here, and between the guild, streaming, friends, Discord, like, we all laugh, all my friends, all my viewers, we all laugh and make jokes constantly for like 10 years that GGG has 2 balanced states. Slider all the way to the right, slider all the way to the left, and that's it. So something is either way overtuned, overpowered, like game-breaking, disgusting, or they don't want that, so they literally take it out back, they shoot it, then they back their car up over it, then they throw it in the dumpster and light it on fire, and then the nuclear bomb drops on it afterwards. Okay, it's just gone. So this feels like the inability to find the happy middle ground. Like, slower speed is fine. Not an unpopular opinion. I think not having the utility flask, the onslaught, the quicksilver, even travel skills is actually mostly fine. Now there could be an argument to have like a basic travel skill, even like blink. Like, earlier on and less, whatever. But realistically, you can, because none of that stuff exists, nobody wants to run through 25, 30 hours of the campaign moving this fast. It just feels terrible to actually play. So you could very easily just increase, a very easy fix would just be increase the base movement speed. Now, you need to find the happy middle ground. You don't want that super light speed, crap in PoE2. That's fine. But the monsters run faster than you. This is how you run through the entire game. You put on your first pair of like 10 movement speed boots, and it doesn't feel like it's a difference. You literally still basically run about this fast. By the end of the game, you literally have like 30 movement speed on most characters. Now, if you're dex based and you have tailwind or skill speed and all these passive nodes, you can actually push that to like 40, 45%. Like it is not a huge difference. Most characters, you're literally going from 0 to 30% in the entire thing. It just feels so bad. You need to raise that easily at the base by like 20 to 30%, or even give like little side quests or something that increases the base speed of the character, and then you can get your movement speed on your boots and stuff on top of that, and you are not going to be running around at light speeds in Path of Exile 2 if you give an extra 20 to 30% base movement speed. It's just not going to happen. So because of that, you start off the game already feeling like, oh, this feels terrible, which is not a good feeling to have in an ARPG, and that's something that literally almost doesn't change. Like, no matter what gear you get, no matter how good you go, like, that's how it is. The second thing I want to talk about is the ailment change, okay? So MP had a nice post he put up, and it's the same thing. Feeling when you stop your character in this game and you are ignited, shocked, stunned, immobilized, like it feels terrible. You can't play, you can't do what you want. Now Path of Exile 1 also has some of this. Like you get to Submerged Passage in Act 1, and people rage like when they switch that because you constantly get like chilled and frozen, and it sucks. And the reason it sucks is because you have zero ways to mitigate that early and block cold and freeze. This game is even worse. The charm system is absolutely terrible. I cannot believe it did not get a rework. The charms themselves, the idea themselves, are fine. How they work, the mods that they can roll, the duration, the fact that you're locked into one, this should very easily be you unlock charm slots in the quest through the campaign as you go, and by the time you get to maps, you should 100% have 3 charms. There's literally no middle ground here. It's just any other thing feels bad. The amount of charges they consume, how much they did. Like, look at this one. This is the first one I got. Granted, this is only level 26. When I got this, I had 775 life, and it rolled with a mod that lets you recover 7 to 12 life when used. Do you know what 7 to 12 life, or 9 for the average what this roll does to your character when you have 775 life? Literally nothing. Literally, it's just a gone mod. And it's not the only thing in this game that's like that. Like, you do one of the trials of Sekima, and you get the honor that, like, restores, and you get, like, 7 honor restored in room. What? Like, the balance on that stuff is way off. But, again, we're talking about the ailment stuff. When you get stunned, like, so Ziz has a interview coming up with GGG in, I think, a few days, and I want him to ask John specifically about the ailment, and when Jonathan, I don't know why I said John, I think he goes by Jonathan. Anyway, I want him to ask Jonathan about the ailment thing, and when Jonathan goes to give his response, every 2 seconds, I want him to yell, stun, freeze, stun, freeze, and see how long it takes for John to, like, turn, I keep saying Jonathan to turn red in the face, pissed and mad. Like, it's frustrating. Well, that's what your players feel when they're running through the campaign and they have zero way to mitigate any of this ailment stuff, and like, you can't block it, you can't, and that's the biggest issue. That's the middle ground, right? I don't mind ailments. I think ailments are cool for the game, But in Path of Exile 1, there's so many ways to mitigate it, right? You have your flask rolls, your utility flasks that you can get from almost the start. You can ult spam them, you can aug them, you can get stuff that makes you immune to freeze, immune to shock, immune to whatever. Then you have all kinds of implicits on your gears. You have rolls on jewels, there's stuff on the passive tree, you have your Pantheon system, okay? Now, the difference between that is there is a very small couple things that you can get on your character, like rolls on actual items that have maybe like reduced freeze, duration or something like that. First off, that does not take care of the ailment. That just makes it slightly better. There is a couple rolls on the tree, but you are sacrificing your actual player power to do that. In Path of Exile 1, the Pantheon system was its own section, so you're not losing skill points. You're not losing rolls on your gear. Now you can, if you want, and get jewels or flasks or whatever, but same thing with flasks. You can roll something that's like, but you're only sacrificing other flask mods. You're not sacrificing actual rolls on your gear or passive points that can give you damage or survivability or utility or other things just to make sure that you have better stun and ailment. And this has nothing, and the charms just are not doing it. There's no middle ground. It's just absolutely feels awful. So when Jonathan had the patch notes and he talked about how he wants it almost twice as likely to get stunned and shocked, and for like if you want that in your game, then you need to do all this other stuff to allow players the ways to mitigate and get rid of that and build that into the character that does not sacrifice the little bit of power that they already get. The next thing I want to talk about is attributes. Okay, attributes are in not a good place. This was said in Path of Exile 1 a lot. I think a big part of this would be if they changed these nodes to higher, even +8, or even back to the old +10. I don't know why they want attribute stuff to be so punishing. The gems and the supports really aren't too terrible, but even your base class, so if you're an evasion dex-based class, getting the highest dex bases, and people talked about this with the bows and everything, it is ridiculous because they kept the same requirements as Path of Exile 1. So you need literally 210, 220, you get your gems all the way leveled up. I even know how high the dex requirement gets. And it requires you to literally have so many travel nodes and so many points and so many things. And that is just for your primary stat. Or you end up sacrificing even more rolls on your gear, which is already super limited with item affixes that you can get to get the needed requirement. Like, if I'm a dex-based character, why do I need 2 or 3 dex rolls on my gear to get dexterity? It's so punishing for the character. It's a beyond ruthless mode. So if they upped the skill point you got on this and changed some of the requirements, this would be the greatest happy middle ground. I don't mind things being locked behind attributes and having really high, but for example, this character is doing crossbows. He's doing evasion ES gear. So because of the ES part, especially hybrid in this game is so hard for stat requirements early and late. My character needs 200 plus dexterity, needs 120 strength, 128. It is absolutely ridiculous, and there's no way to get it. There's one dex cluster here, and then everything is just the little tiny travel nodes. If you search some dex space, if you search strength, there's literally one node, which I actually pick up later. And then one node here, which you don't pick up because it's physical damage. And I see one node here, which is stun buildup and knockback, which is a complete waste of a node. So minus those 2 nodes, there's literally one node that I can get minus the travel nodes that literally give me strength. You look up intelligence. I don't know why my caps lock is on. And there's this node right here, which is penetrate cold, which does literally nothing for me. There's this node way over here. There's just nothing on the tree, so you have to get it on your gear. Attributes are at a terrible place for leveling, for late game, for end game, and there's no middle ground. It's just all the way to the left, all the way to the right. Attributes are extremely punishing. The only thing, and what I'm going to end up doing at my character, is going down here to get these attribute wheels. and you end up using like 8 skill points or something like that, but it should help a lot, like alleviate some of the attribute stuff, picking up all these ones. Um, but it's going to give me a lot more power than 8 passive points would anywhere else. Picking up these little tiny like power creep nodes for 4% attack speed or 10% damage or whatever, than it would be to sacrificing like 10 different rolls on my gear to get the attributes that need to get it. Um, okay, another thing in the campaign, basic attack right here. Now this is crossbow shots. There's no supports with it. Um, I love the idea in Path of Exile 2 where you can have a normal attack and you can support it by gems. But a normal attack should never, ever, 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 that should be like a meme thing or like a level 1 type thing. It should never, ever, ever be better than the skills that you can get. And this is not just this character. The Huntresses were the same. I had a friend who literally got to like level 8 and he tried a skill and he did it and it gave him 2 DPS. Literally 2. I literally, until you get shock burst rounds on this character specifically, these have even the DPS is lower, but it's if they're shocked and they deal like there's all these counter thing to go with it, but it's actually a pretty fun skill and pretty nice to use. But before you get this, it's like level 42 requirement, literally through almost the entire like 2/3 of the campaign. My highest damaging single target skill was normal attack. That should never be a thing. Ever. I'm sorry. It just, your normal attack, your default attack, should never be the best way to use your stuff. All the skills I have, that is the single best single DPS in the game, and it's what was used. There's no middle ground. It's just, that should never happen. Runes. The rune system is supposed to realistically, according to them, according to GGG, replace the crafting bench. Okay, now these are kind of cool. You can interchange them now. They have different tiers. Like this is fine. There's definitely something here, but you are really missing some things here, and I think it's just the amount of runes you can get. The crafting bench had how many crafts that you can get, how many tiers, how many levels. They could very easily turn these into like 2 more tiers and literally have like tier 1 to tier 5, and add to the top end, not the lower end. Like, you can very much push this as you go on, like your tier of crafts, like something like the life one or the mana regen, like 10, 12, and 14 is not, PoE 1 you get something and you roll the life rolls or the res rolls, and there's a huge difference between the tiers, and this one is not a ton. It's in the right direction, it's fine, but you're also missing a ton of runes too, like the attribute problem we just talked about. There's literally not a single rune that gives you strength, int, dex, nothing. Like, there's no attributes at all. I think there is a soul core that gives attributes or something. Um, but it's missing so much of it still, and some of these problems make other problems worse. So if you want to have runes replace the crafting bench, you need more tiers, you need bigger differences, and you need to find a nice happy middle ground of that too. This is a good start, but it is definitely not all the way there, and it does not come close to helping you, especially early game campaign leveling, like mixing up some of your stuff. Like, realistically, almost every single person takes like a couple of the res runes and throws it in their gear early on, and that's basically what they have. Like it helps with res and literally nothing else. I don't know why this isn't here. Um, Next topic. So we have a post that GGG put out of things that they are working on, and it was not much, if I'm being honest. A lot of it seemed like, hey, we already did this, and this is why this feels bad, and we lowered the life, and it helped. It did. The crashes is, I don't really blame. There's, crashes happen. That's how things are developed. Still early access. I totally get that. But the one biggest point that just seems like a huge disconnect to me, and no middle ground at all, is the map layouts. Now, if I can find these, I should have pulled them up ahead of time. I did take some screenshots of. Actually, don't think it was this one. This was a separate one. There is these ones. Okay, so this is hard to see. Okay. Um, because it's not a video, I can't move around, so you have to ignore the screen and just look at the map. Okay, so this is the Drowned City. This is the first time you reach it. This was, I want to say, the first Act 3, not even Act 6. And you start off, I don't even know if I have it. I think you start off down here. Over here is Ziggurat Encampment. So you come out to the waypoint and you run around this whole area at the speed of slug. Okay. And it's not like an open area and you just went the wrong, it's all this long, windy, like you follow a wall, you go down whatever, you go up and around. Still up here, molten volts up here. That's not what you need. The things here. Do you know how long it takes to run through? And that's just one. Like, that is one single layout. So the other ones I had up here was a separate. This is gonna be a separate post too, and this is the Matlin Waterways. So you literally start here, and you have to hit these levers the whole time. So you have to walk and run up here, and then hit the lever and kill some guys, and then come down here and hit a lever and walk around and go around and round and round. It reminds me of one of those puzzles where you have to get to the center, and it's just a giant maze. And you're doing this again at the speed of slug with your 10-15 movement speed, and you go around and you go around and you go around and you come down here and you go around and you're still going and you're still going up. You're here up now. You're only halfway. Now you still have to go and you're going around and you're going around and you get some more levers and you kill some more guys and like heaven forbid you die, right? And then you have to go back to a checkpoint and then all the monsters respawn and you're going and you're gonna get to the end. This is not okay. And this isn't even one of the worst maps. This is the no middle ground. So they post something about the checkpoints, and I don't think checkpoints are a bad idea. I actually kind of like the checkpoints. I think they have a use. I think they have whatever. But when you are moving at the speed of slug, and you have literally 10, 15, 20 movement speed, and you saw what I pulled up with the character and how fast it's moving, and you have to run through the entire act, that is not okay for the campaign. There's no middle ground, slider all the way to the left, all the way to the right. You can literally half this zone easily. You can cut off, zip, like line right here. I don't have paint or anything pulled up. That's the wrong one. You can literally cut off this entire portion of the map and just have like this, and it would be a fine zone. Like, your zones in the campaign are absolutely ridiculous. They are way too long. Players have been posting about them for months. It's still the same. It hasn't been fixed. I think it's even worse because some of the I feel like the movement speed and the skill it's lower. You have to find and compromise the middle ground. Your tile sets are fine. Like, the aesthetics look awesome. The map layouts are great, but they are too long. They are too windy, and that's not even some of the worst ones. That was just some that I noticed while I was going through. Your Azak bog, or normal bog, or whatever it's called. The Mire type map. Drowned City is terrible. Act 3 in general has some of the worst areas. Act 2 is okay. I feel like Act 1, most of the stuff is actually pretty okay. Your layouts are way, 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 way too long. And it triple downing on that stuff and adding some checkpoints that are missing, that is not the solution at all. That's literally taking like a single crumb of a Band-Aid and putting it on the Grand Canyon. Now, a little bit exaggerated, but it's not going to solve the issue, okay? The next issue we have, dying and enemies respawning. This game is incredibly, incredibly punishing. I don't know why the devs want this. I don't know if it's the vision. I'm assuming it is. I'm assuming it's intended. A little bit of challenge and stuff is okay. I totally get they want to have them two separate games, a bit away from PoE 1. I don't even think that's bad. I think that sounds great, and I think they can make this game that, but they need to take steps to changing and listening to the community and finding that happy middle ground. If they have their vision and it's all the way over here, and this is what the players want, there is a happy middle ground right here where you can get on these things. And dying and respawning in this game and watching your loot disappear is one of the worst feelings in this game ever. In any ARPG I have ever played, there's nothing enjoyable about running through an area like I just showed, and then you die, and then you start back at the beginning or your last checkpoint or whatever, and all your loot is gone and all the monsters are back. Like, that is 17 steps backwards. It feels absolutely terrible, and I don't know why they're pushing it so much. Your loot should never ever disappear if you kill it. You should be able to go back and get, especially in the campaign. I don't know how many times in point one and point two where you're fighting and you're slogging through and you're doing your ZDPS and you're shooting your regular bolt. And I literally have a video when I got to like Act 2 and I did the double bone pit spot, and it took me 8 minutes. Literally 8 minutes to kill the boss. So you kill a boss and you finally get it down, and something happens. There's an on-death explosion. You ran out of your flask. There's a degen. There's something, and you die as the boss dies. Boss, campaign boss, mini boss, whatever it is, normal white mob, and the loot drops, and you die, and you res, and that loot is gone. You miss the drops. You miss the campaign drops. You get like that. There's no reason for that to be in an ARPG. I know people talk about it all the time. This is not Dark Souls. There's no reason for your game to be this punishing. People do not want to play ruthless. You can have your game challenging and have friction and have like punishing for certain things, making your loot disappear and respawning all the enemies when you're in Act 1 or Act 4 or Act it's not it. It feels so bad to play a game like that. We already talked about the charms. I have it written on here separately, but again, real quick, they definitely need work. I don't think the idea is bad. I don't know if implicits on the thing to roll charms, blessed orbs should be in the game to be able to change like implicits on the stuff. Again, I don't have the perfect solutions to everything, but charms are still in an absolute awful place. You see the charges, you still almost never see them go off. Specifically, unless you like click a strongbox that makes you frozen and you see it go off. There needs to be way more work done to charms. Honestly, this game in general has such a good basis, but it needs so much more development time, and the more they try to rush things and like band-aid fix things is not going to be the issue. You need to, honestly, I feel like they need to take a step back. They need to focus on the Path of Exile 1 stuff. Again, this is just my personal opinion. Some people probably hate that, love it, whatever. Feel free to write down in the comments. I'm super interested to see what other people say, what they think. But focus on Path of Exile 1 because it's the game that's already there. You can get your league, you can get your development. And I know they want to get this game out. I know they're kind of rushing. I know it's eating up a ton of development. But if you want to, if that is your goal, is to make the greatest ARPG of all time, you need to go slow and steady. You can't rush this stuff out. You can't change it. You have to listen to the feedback, and you have to be able to compromise on the things that you need to change. Another super annoying one with this, I think this is more of a balance issue. This isn't like, so I wasn't even going to talk about it, but super frustrating. The DPS calculations are completely off. Between the skill gems that work, sometimes you'll put in a support and it doesn't change. It'll change the damage over here, but not on the thing. You'll pick up passives and items and you'll put them on. And like the biggest early game indicator, especially for new players, is okay, what's this DPS right here? This is how much damage my skill does. What is it going to change to? So the perfect example of this, ready, is this jewel. And I did get another one. But so I rolled this jewel from the start. It dropped with literally one mod, and it was attack speed with crossbows. And I said, awesome, I'm a crossbow guy. That is fucking cool. I found a meaningful upgrade. It felt good. Okay. So I was super excited about it. So I threw this was literally campaign, and I threw an AUG on it, and I got increased damage with crossbows. I said, "Oh my god! Like, what are the chances? This feels awesome. Like, this is why I play these games. Like, this is I literally just picked up the jewel, which I've gotten like 3 of the entire campaign. It's an actual one I need, and it already has 2 mods on it that I needed. And then so I said, well, it's already 2. That is absolutely awesome. So I threw a Regal on it, and this was the campaign, and I got crossbow reload speed, and I'm like, oh my god, like this jewel feels so good for me early on. It's damage. It's powerful. Now, I just exalted it literally a couple minutes ago. I got lightning damage, which is like this jewel's awesome. It's my best find the whole league so far. It's 4 mods. They all fit my character. They're all very useful stats. They're all ready. So this jewel is powerful, right? Most of your passive nodes, they give, your little bit of pen, your 12% damage, or, oh, this is a big notable, and it's 20% damage. So this one gives 14 damage, 16 damage, 4 attack speed, and reload speed, okay? So I got this giga awesome jewel. It feels great. Ready? Oh my god, how much DPS is this going to get me? My galvanic shards, these are my two main skills. 2082, 4028. Bam! Put the jewel in. Wait, what? What? It doesn't change. It changes my bow shot up here. That's it. It changes my flash grenade from the fraction of the thing which is literally used to stun enemies. My two main DPS skills, nothing. Literally nothing. Do you know how bad that feels as a player going through the campaign? Now this isn't a happy middle ground thing. This is just something that needs fixed now. Like why the calculation is off. Now if you actually go to this and you pull up the advanced and you put this in, it's kind of hard to see because of hovering over the thing. Let me see if I can do it. Yeah, there we go. You can see it changes the numbers. The damage goes up. The damage per second goes up. The main hand down, all of the stuff adds. So why is this not shown in the DPS calculation? Why has this been worked on for years? And literally your DPS, it's same thing with the passives. So you look it up, and I'm like, well, why isn't this working? Is this a bug? Is this a 0.2 bug? Is this? And you look it up, and it's been going on for months. And there's certain things with the skills and the attack speeds and the DPSs, and they're not changed. Do you know how terrible of an experience that is to play through a game like this? As frustrating and as challenging and as ruthless as it is, and get through the thing and have DPS calculation not even work on your character. You find something where you think it doesn't even work for your skill. Like that is something that needs major red flag fixing, adjusting, whatever. Not a happy middle ground on there, but all right, moving on. Next list. We're almost done here. Don't want to make this video super too long, okay? Magic Rare Monster Indicator. I talked about this a lot in the release of Path of Exile 2 in 0.1. Some people posted this up, a lot of people agreed, but it didn't seem to get a lot of traction, and I'm not sure why. This feels, again, slider all the way to the right, slider all the way to the left. I'll keep saying it. In Path of Exile 1, you knew no matter what you were doing, you literally, unless you were colorblind, sorry, colorblind folk, you literally saw the mobs and you knew this is a magic, this is rare. You had a skeleton, you had a goat, you had whatever, and boom, this brown goat was now giant and yellow. Like, you knew it was a rare. You knew when you went on a map and you had 800 mobs swarming you, you knew right where the magics were, you knew right where the rare was. This game, you have your tile sets and your aesthetics, and I think most of them look absolutely awesome. Looks, aesthetic-wise, okay? You go to Cemetery, where's one of the forest type shit? Now, this is just a campaign one. But you're going through, this looks awesome. Like, the map looks awesome. The tree, like, the art is so good on this game. It really is. But it makes it really hard to see the enemies. And this gets even worse. In maps, in the end game, and you're going through, and you have a little tiny monster that pops out, and it's this little vile imp, or a wolf. Well, you get something like this, and you have no idea if it's a rare or a magic. You scroll over, I don't even know what a magic is. Every once in a while, they have an aura around them, like an ice aura, fire aura, and you're like, oh, these guys are magic. If not, you have no idea. I'll be attacking in the campaign, and all of a sudden I'll be like, why are these guys more tanky? And and it's so hard to scroll over a specific enemy, and you see the letters are blue. That's not okay. You need some kind of visual indicator. There's a happy middle ground here I totally get that in Path of Exile 1, the fantasy, realistic feeling is not there for the indicator, right? Like, you see a giant yellow skeleton. What? Like, it's not very realistic. I get they wanted to take a step back from that, make it more realistic, and some mobs you can see a rare, and it has a giant, like, aura thing around him where you can say, okay, this is a rare guy. He doesn't have to be giant and yellow, but you need an indicator to know what magic and rare enemies are. My boots keep killing things, so it's hard to see, but now I can move at the speed of Slug again. Some of the monsters are bigger. You get these little tiny imps and these bats and these whatever, and the art on the thing is so cool. right? Like the maps look cool. I don't want you to make the map barren and empty, and like these really do look cool. But you need to do a middle ground on the enemies and what are magics and rares. I fought a rare in a map that I was just doing earlier, and I couldn't even tell. There was so much environmental like aesthetics going on for the stuff that I literally couldn't see what was going on, and the enemy was these tiny like little, I don't even know what they were. They're these little like parasite slug type thing. I couldn't find them. I couldn't hover over them on my mouse. I couldn't whatever. And one of them is a rare, and my life is chunking down, and I can't even see why. You need better visual indicators. There's a very happy middle ground between oops between having a giant like rare yellow skeleton not feeling real and having literally nothing at all. And magics are even worse, if I'm being honest. Like you don't even know, there's no indicator unless they have that like elemental like explosion aura thing. You don't even know what a magic mob is. Like until you can hover over it and look up at the bar, which nobody has time to do for random magic monsters, you need to do something. You need to give them an aura. You need to do a visual indicator. You need to do something so players know what's a magic and what is a rare on the thing. Now, there's two more points I want to talk about, and we'll wrap up this video. And I think they're also very, very important. One of them is the loot. Okay? You talk about the balance, the power, the challenge, the vision, whatever you want to call it, the struggle, the movement speed slog, going through the campaign, so on and so forth. Loot, rare drops, and player power. Okay? You need to throw things at this player. I totally get you don't want PoE 1 levels. I definitely see where you don't want thousands of items all over the screen and all that stuff. But when you're going through the campaign and it's already super punishing and you can't block your ailments and you're moving at the speed of slug and your resistances are absolutely horrible and you kill these enemies and you're killing with your default attack and your default attack up here, load the bolts, boom, yeah, default attack, and you're killing things and there's no loot, there's no progression, there's no upgrades, there's no nothing. Like it took me sometimes half an hour at a time to get a rare to drop, and then you look at the rare and it's trash and the tiers are bad and it doesn't have movement speed on the boots and whatever. Like the loot in the campaign is so bad. I don't know if it's a rarity issue. It feels way worse than Point 1 did. Currency is great and crafting. I think trans augs felt okay, drop rate wise, mostly. Rare items was not okay. Rare items and maps is not okay. I finally got like 40 rarity on my character or something, basically from this ring, which gives me not a whole lot of anything else. And I feel like my loot literally doubled. My currency doubled. Like, that's great endgame to push the stuff. You want to make sure that peak is not there. Thousands of items and literally like hundreds and hundreds of rares. I totally get that. That is a good philosophy to take. A slider all the way to the left is not it. It's not working. Running through the campaign as punishing as that is, and getting to the point where there's just nothing, and then you kill act bosses and they drop 3 blue items like that is not okay. They made changes in the release, and I feel like they undid them. I don't know how many times they did a patch in Path of Exile, when it first came out in Path of Exile 2, they did a patch and people would like kill a mini boss or an act boss and you'd see like 3 exalted orbs drop and like 4 rare items. Like that's gone. What happened to that? Why did you get rid of it? It's just gone. It feels worse than it has ever had at the release. Not being able to upgrade your gear is why people feel slow and punished and whatever. My weapon was so bad going through the first like 2 acts. That is literally why Rage Quit, after it took 8 minutes to kill that thing, I literally had to take the 3 exalteds that I found and buy a weapon from somebody else on the trade, and it literally made my character 3 times more powerful. I love trade. I do. I love trade. There's issues with trade. I know some players absolutely hate it. I think it is amazing in a game to be able to farm currency or do something and save up like money you took and buy a meaningful upgrade. There is a place for that in this game. You don't have to SSF everything. You don't. but it feels so bad, especially early on campaign, to take every single dime of every money you made through the whole game so far to buy an upgrade just for your character to move on and go. You're missing this giant middle ground here, and it definitely needs to be adjusted. The last thing I want to talk about is the downsides that GGG wants to put on everything. Downsides on things have a place. They really do. There's some things in PoE 1 where it gives you super power, but there's a small downside to go with it. Thread of Hope is a perfect example that pops into my head. Thread of Hope, you pop that jewel in, you can take unallocated passives. It's so good, but you get -10 res or -10 to -20 or whatever it is. But that is very easily. Hey, there's a little bit of a downside occasionally, rarely on certain super powerful items or whatever, and that's fine. I'm not against having downsides anything, but now it's like they have quadrupled down on this in every support and every skill gem and every same thing like GMP and multi strike or spell hey, it gives you additional repeats, which is like the strongest support of almost every skill in PoE 1, either GMP, multi strike, spell echo, like whatever it is. But there's usually like a downside to the damage a little bit. Okay, so again, occasionally something like that is fine, but now every single support, every single unique item, every single passive tree, every single keystone. I don't know how many things you look at. And now, of course, I'm not going to be able to find one because of the examples. But you look at something, there's actually a crit one somewhere around here. Like, this is a perfect example, okay? There are so many keystones and passives and items and uniques that give these downsides, and there's no reason to. I don't know why you are trying to punish your players so much. And most of these are not balanced at all. These come out to okay, well, I'm never taking this node, or hey, I'm going to take this node, and it's one that gives attack speed versus attack damage or something. So you get reduced attack speed, reduced attack speed, but you get increased damage, and they almost completely block each other out. Well, if my DPS doesn't change, what the hell is the point of me taking that node? These ones are all good. These are crit nodes. These are super +1 is super good. This has crit int. Now, I don't actually get any of these on my character, but the great. So how come the other half of the stuff you look at and they're just absolutely terrible? Okay, I get 60 crit damage, but I get reduced crit. I just don't get why there's so many downsides on everything, and it's all over the place. The game does not have to be that punishing. Bar all the way to the left, bar all the way to the right. Last thing I'm going to say. You need to find the happy middle ground on all of this stuff. So, again, I guess we're going to wrap it up here. I feel like that was a lot of the issues with Dawn of Hunt, what a lot of people had. I think we touched on most of the things. There's definitely stuff I missed. You can have your own opinions. I'm super happy to listen and talk in the comments and figure out what's going on. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like the content or the video. It definitely helps support me and get the video out there so more people can see it. Hopefully, besides that, hopefully you guys are not having too terrible time. I am having a little bit better generally overall now that I'm doing almost a meta build and I have a little bit of currency and I'm just reaching maps and stuff like that. I plan on doing quite a number of videos in the future, in the near future, and I do want to talk about a lot of the endgame changes and some of the more positive things as well, but I feel like this was the most meaningful from where the community and the game is at the moment, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time.